This is the Unchained Man, where we rip off the mask, break the chains, and face the fire. No fluff, no victim talk, no soft takes, just raw truth and the discipline to rebuild yourself from the ground up. You want comfort? Wrong show. You want power? Welcome home. Welcome everybody. Episode 2. Sorry, a few minutes late. As always, some technical difficulties happening in the background, but welcome. Let's see. Today we have the Man Up show. Let me take this up real quick. It'll be a that guy. All right, it's a Man Up show. It's gonna be a good one today. We got a couple guests. I'll let them introduce themselves. But the idea of this show is kind of to kind of give our perspective on how Man Up is kind of used in our life and how I do think that Man Up is a kind of double edged sword. It can be used kind of to humiliate or make fun of someone, bully someone, but it's also a tool to help us reach a better potential, grow as men. So that's what I want to explore in this episode. It's kind of the double edge on this topic. So without further ado, let me bring out the guests. And welcome, gentlemen. We will have three, but for now, it's Nick and Ken, and we'll have Patrick on in a minute. He's having difficulties getting on,
Right on.
so but he'll jump on. So in this episode, let's we start off with everyone introducing themselves and kind of a little backstory of each of you. I believe I shared mine last time. Let's see, I'll share mine real quick, and then you guys can go. Uh, let's see, I raised three daughters. One is mine. Two are not. They put me through. They put me through the ringer growing up. So there's a lot of things that I needed to do in my life where I needed to man up and be that stoic, not be so emotional, and kind of guide them in their life. But it was difficult. And but I also did have a partner at the time who did do this kind of bullying or shameful, trying to put me down as far as the man up, like why are you acting this way, why are you doing this, but so I didn't have an outlet necessarily to talk about what I was going through, not in an emotional sense, but just to talk about it. So I kind of feel like this is a good episode to kind of air out. So who wants to go
Right.
first, Nick or Ken?
I mean, I could go first. I mean,
Go
it's
for it.
easy for me to follow off of that because I have three girls, and a majority of their like childhood life, I was a single father that raised them up. Dealing with two different mothers, was quite the challenge. But you kind of had to man up and just do what you needed to do to keep things rolling. Um, I kind of was doing good for a while, and then I went off the rails, so called, for about 3 years, and I actually lost my kids for 2 years. But that was the last step that made me go sober, though. Like September 18th, 2018, I was the last day that I took a drug because that's the day they took my kids, and I quit that day, and I learned a lot from about who I am, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be in life, kind of. But it's definitely been, I could say, a rewarding adventure, just changing that part of my life.
Nice. Yeah, it's tough. Nicholas.
I knew you were going to say Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nicholas. Um, no, I mean, yeah, man up to me is might be different than most. I don't look at it. I don't try to look at it as a bad thing. the term man up or the, like we were talking earlier, there's a million different expressions on the man up, but that's a good summarizing term. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where to even begin. I used to do crazy stuff, used to raise, a lot of hell and do bad things, and I don't anymore. As soon as I had my kid, found out, my old lady was pregnant, I basically quit doing everything that's bad, you know, for the
Mm.
most part, really, and just changed. I didn't go to church or nothing, but I definitely didn't do crazy stuff. And, just manning up to me at that point was to stop doing that. Man up hits a man every day, by the way. It's not just a one time thing, but,
Right.
and then, my old lady suffered from depression and, stuff like that, BPD. And then she got into drugs heavily, like bad, hard drugs. And it just made everything really crazy for her. And she actually, she committed suicide a little over a year ago. So it's just been me and my daughter. So, man up, or the whole, to me, it's like, to me, man up's like, that was my motivator, like on those hard days. That's why I try to look at it, honest. I'm just gonna be honest. I try to, everything in life's gonna suck depending on how you look at it. And the things that really suck, if you're a man, that expression's going on in your head constantly. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do it. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You got to be a man. You got to handle business. So, yeah, I mean, you just do what you got to do. And I like it. I kind of like it. But like you said, I ain't never had nobody, tell me to man up or you ain't acting like a man. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I'm happy I never had that. But, stuff like that never really happened. But
What
it's
about?
within you. It's within you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, we were talking about that. You were saying that backstage. I agree with that as well. But what about the whole stop being a little bitch, right? Like that's another term, kind of on the same thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, uh, right? I feel like that comes more from men who are trying to help you live up to like your potential more than women. But I did have it in my past relationship where it wasn't quite that direct, even like it wasn't even that direct as far as like, oh, you need to man up, right? But it's like the things that they were saying were, or the things that she was saying were kind of belittling to me as a man, right? So it's like, yeah, no,
Yeah, and it's usually yourself saying it to yourself. It's not like we were saying. It's not somebody saying it to you.
right,
It's like a mantra that you grow to know as a guy, that you instill that in your own psyche. And no matter if you have support, not even if you have people like you're doing great, even in your head, you're like, man, I got to do better. I got to man up, or quote unquote man up. So it's pretty wild, wild
yeah,
state.
do better is kind of it's kind of, and that is like you're saying, that's always for sure. It's always in the back of my mind, right? Like, am I being the man that I want to be? Am are they perceiving me as the perception of me, the man that I want to be putting out there, right?
True.
There's a lot.
Nick, I think I just personally I want to say you're doing an awesome job from what happened a year ago with, your ex to way you just hit the ground running, dude. You're doing an awesome job. I mean, I think sometimes we need to hear it, but like, dude, yeah, for sure.
Well, I
You're
appreciate
doing an
it.
awesome job, girl. And it's noticed with me because I especially noticed because the kids growing up when they was younger around your daughter's age. I was a single dad, and you're doing good things, bud. Keep up.
Well, it's like, what you gonna do? And that's the thing, right? It's like you
No
have
one
to
else there to help.
you got to be the provider, and now it's you, bro. That's
Yep.
it. Well, I mean, I have help from like my dad and family that I have here in Alabama, but it's not
You
like
got to support, and you're
you
doing it.
don't have that at home. Yeah, it gets hard, and that's when you start in your mind, like Jose said, don't be a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
You got to do the dishes, the laundry, take the
Yeah.
dogs out, do this, do that.
I
And
mean,
that's
I've
it.
You
I've told
man
myself
one.
that in my mind.
I do every day, dude.
But and like Ken said, it's kind of glossed over, right? But what you said, what you've gone through in this past years, that's it's huge. It's huge. It's like that's a tough thing to one to go
To adjust.
through. I maybe if you don't mind, talk about how did you go through that and how right you're here smiling today.
Oh yeah.
How did it go from that to you smiling today?
Well, I mean, I see Pat back there. What up, Pat?
Hold
Big
on,
dog.
we're gonna add Pat now that he's here. Let's.
I hear him
Oh,
and see him back there.
sir, you're on.
All right.
Ooh. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I
that
mean,
was a chore.
y'all see me smile, right? I mean, everybody sees me
Right.
smile at work, wherever. But that ain't to say that when I get in that damn truck by myself or, you know what I'm saying, I'm riding down the road or anything. I'm sitting in there after my daughter goes to sleep. I'm just sitting in there watching TV. You know what I mean? And I mean, it happens, bro. You cry. I mean, if you're not a fucking human if you don't cry, but it seems that happens a lot, like every day, unfortunately. But I don't show it. How am I going to show it? I have to be the man. I have to be the,
Stoic.
the father. I have
Rock.
to show. And my
Feel you.
kid knows. My kid's seen me break down, bro. Believe me, because it gets hard. But I mean, you just got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's like I don't. I don't know. It's hard to describe. But yeah, I mean, I tried to, ever since my daughter was born, I've tried to live my life better and be happy. Even if, because like I said earlier, life sucks, man. Like, life's going to suck no matter if you look at it that way, you're going to hate life. So, like, I've always tried to be happy. And it's hard for me to show my, sad emotion in front of people, especially on a freaking live on the internet. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, you're not gonna cry today?
well, I hope not.
I'm just
Well,
kidding.
no,
I'm just
seriously. I
kidding.
mean, I do hope not, but like,
I
it,
can't hug you, give you a hug. So yeah, don't
well,
do that.
it is a sad thing, but like, I mean, you have to learn to, as a man, unfortunately, and or the provider, whoever that may be of a family, you have to be that strong person, and
Yeah.
you learn and you're conditioned not to. You're learned to do that by yourself. You
Yep.
know, whether you sit in the shower and do it or fucking, excuse my language. I don't know. I didn't mean to say that, but
Dang, you just dropping f bombs
well,
left
I'm
and right. No, I'm
sorry,
just kidding.
dude.
It's
It
fine.
gets
It's fine. This
real.
is a.
It's emotional. I'm sorry. You
I
know.
already put this up as a not for kids
Well,
show,
thank
so
you.
we're
I
good.
didn't mean to say, and I have been trying to be good. I hope I've been being good up to this point because I'm
No, no, you're
usually
fine. You're fine. You're
a
fine. It's
foul mouth
no worries. As
Irishman.
long as we don't do it in the first 30 seconds, I think it's
No,
fine.
I
There's no.
won't do it. I won't do it again. I promise.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You
You'll
you tell
try
us. So okay, so Patrick's on here. Patrick, you wanna share a little bit? I know you shared it on the last episode, but I'm gonna give you the floor for you to
So,
go.
Nick, not a lot of people know, but about 14 years ago, my wife died in my arms.
Yeah, I seen that when you talked about that last time, and I was telling Jose, and I was like, I didn't know that about Pat, and that's what we were talking about, and I hate to say it in a sense that we kind of have that in common because it's a crappy thing to have in common with somebody, right? To lose your loved one that like that, but
But let me just stop you. You're absolutely right. It's a tragic thing, that both of us have lost our spouses like that. And it's a sudden thing. One day they're there, the next they are gone. And you have to figure out what the next thing is to do. For me, I had to go into damage control. I went straight into survival mode. Luckily, I had friends um, to kind of pick me up after she died. My buddy came over there, and literally all I did was hang out with Colombian Hoochie Mama, and a handle of Jameson. Literally had people coming over to my house, dropping off like a half ounce of Bam Bam and a handle of Jameson with a, get well soon note at the front door. Here you go. Get numb. This is what you need. I had one of my best friends that I've grown up with said, "No, this isn't what you need. I tell you what, give me your pistol and you can have all that other stuff. But just know when that's gone, you need to pack your shit because you and your son are coming to live with me until this clears itself up."
That's a
I
real
don't,
friend.
I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
what
a real.
I've done. I don't know. I remember, I think about this every day. I remember being in the hospital looking at my wife's still body and looking at my mom and sobbing, saying, "What do I do now? What do I do now?" I've got a 10-year-old son that just watched me do CPR on mom and couldn't bring her back. What do I do?
It's rough, right?
Yeah.
I feel you, bro.
A few years went by and I hated life. I hated God. My resentment towards God was very, very virtuous. You took my wife. You took the only thing that was ever good in my life. It took me years to actually figure out she was never supposed to get pregnant, my wife. When she got pregnant with my son, she developed gestational diabetes, and that turned into ketoacidosis type 1 diabetes, and which was completely uncontrollable. 10 years almost to the door, she died of acute kidney failure. I mean, nothing, I couldn't stop it. You want to talk about feeling absolutely helpless as a man, is watching your wife deteriorate in front of you and know that you can't help.
Nothing you could do.
Nothing you can do. Watch them wither away and just tell them how much you love them.
See,
So, yeah,
mine, yeah, mine was on dope. She would leave me with a kid, go to the dope house, do her drugs, and stay gone for weeks at a time. And then that's what you said. All you can do is, something like that. All you got to do is try to be there for them. But then you get the phone call. Hey, she was at so and so's house in the closet, strung up. And it's like, God dang. Like you said with your kid, you're like, what are you supposed to even do? How are you going to explain this to your kid? For my kid didn't see it like yours, but how do you even explain that to a kid? And like Max said, like how it affects the kid is
yeah,
that's what's
tragic.
crazy. That's what I tell people. If you have something going on in your head that you don't really understand or hate in your like just hatred in your heart for anything like that, like your life or yourself or the people around you, you need to talk to somebody. I don't get, and I'm not a therapist, anybody, it can be
Right.
anybody. Do what we're doing right now. Stuff like this.
Exactly the point of this. Yep.
Yeah. And I haven't talked about what's happened with me publicly at all. I mean, Ken, people that know me because they were around when it happened, and I had to have somebody to talk to. You know what I'm saying? But that's the first time
Happy to
I've
be there.
ever said that. So it helps to talk about it though, right? Like it really
Yep.
does.
It does because, what I'm a product of what happens when you don't let it out. I went through massive years of torture, opiate addiction, cocaine addiction, alcoholism. I mean, I just recently got clean and sober, fucking 3 years ago. I stopped doing hard drugs and everything. And 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I stopped drinking. So this is all really new to me. But, you know, it's taken me this long to figure out that the chemical warfare that I was doing, the conflict that I had between me and my inner self, I'm trying to stay intoxicated to mask and to hide everything what's going on. The only reason why I'm able to keep it all together is by letting it out.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that's and Patrick, I did want you on this episode because of, so I was talking to Nick, and hearing your story even last week, how a lot of this stuff kind of related. I mean, it was almost, you needed to be on this episode
Yeah.
with on this.
Absolutely.
So I do appreciate you coming back.
Oh, me too, dude. For sure. Yeah, awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Sure. I'm
Oh,
in
yeah.
there's a similar situation going on in my life right now that's continuously going on. And Patrick said, things that make you feel helpless, like with my daughters with these seizures, like the only thing I could do is make sure she don't hurt herself. Outside of that, I feel helpless. There's nothing I could do to stop it. I mean, like doctor's appointments after doctor's appointments after tests after tests. I mean, this has been going on 3 years, and it's like it's more than, and it's just like you sit there and you kind of just wait for bad to happen, and like if I wouldn't talk about it, I'd be a lot worse off than I am right now. Sure, it helps just getting it out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, you guys are all loved. Just know that.
Mhm.
And
We,
I'm again, I mean, I don't want to sound, and I'm not a religious person, but for me, prayer,
yeah.
getting into myself, praying to my higher power, meditation. The other day, I even posted on the on one of the group chats that how what works for me is when I feel just like I'm just to the point where I'm going to explode. Take 10 minutes, get on YouTube, and all you got to do is look up 10-minute meditation. Listen to the voice that's coming through your speakers, concentrate on your breathing, and focus. Within that 10 minutes, I promise you, you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel more at peace. It works.
They taught me that in anger management a long time
So
ago.
Listen, man,
It worked.
one of my last drunken escapades when I shoved my wife and I went to fucking jail for it, which I should have. I had to go to anger management. And I tell you what, to this day, the guy that did my anger management class was a recovering heroin addict. And he's been clean and sober for, going on like 25 years, but he's still my therapist to this day. Like when you click with someone like that, you need to keep them around.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, when you find a good one, when you
Yeah.
find a good, you keep them around.
Maybe that's where I messed up. I never sought therapy after
so
everything.
I got a tool for anyone who wants to try meditation. Like a lot of people might try meditation and they'd be like, "Oh, I can't settle my thoughts down; they're racing." You know what I mean? Well, I was taught a tool and it works, and I've told this to like 10, 15 different people, and everyone I told it to, they're like, "Man, that really worked." But when you sit down and you start to, meditate, your thoughts are racing. Picture yourself picking up a snow globe, shaking it, and then laying it down. Relate your thoughts to them pieces of snow that are flurrying all around, but you set it down so they start to settle. And as them pieces of snow start to settle, your thoughts will too. It works. Try it.
Hey, so Nick, I do think that's a good one. Um, why no therapy?
For
And
me,
most of us, for the most part, I don't think most people need therapy. But there are instances where therapy, if we don't have someone who can give us the feedback that we need, I think therapy could be a good instance in where we talk to someone and they can give us some constructive feedback.
I would recommend grief counseling for you.
That's what,
Or
yeah,
grief counseling. Yeah,
and maybe I should, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I just, I've been to, but when she was leaving, like she was doing drugs and staying gone, that really was hard. So I was at work. I had to miss work a lot because she wouldn't go get our kid, and like just it was bad. You know what I mean? So like I had to do what I had to do. So I was missing work constantly and breaking down on the job because I didn't know where my fucking fiance was at. You know what I mean? The mother to my child. And yeah, so they sent me. I'm lucky enough, I work on a military base. So like my job, they have those programs where if you need it, they're there. And essentially it's really, in all honesty, any program like that at work is a save your butt kind of situation. So if you go crazy one day at work and hit somebody, you can't sue. They can't. No one can sue anybody or whatever. You know what I mean? Because you went to therapy. But
yeah,
I did go to those things because they'll pay for like 6 sessions, and then after that, your insurance will cover it if you want to keep going. And I did the six, and that was before, and it never really. I mean, that therapy to me that I've always been to is like they don't want to tell you anything. They don't want to give you any advice because they're not really technically allowed to. They're only allowed to listen. And to me, that's a complete stranger. You know what I mean? Like and they like okay, for instance, somebody like Pat, right? Or somebody that might have endured what I've endured that and felt the same type of feelings, then yeah, probably a somebody like that, right? A grief counselor or something like that. But like somebody that doesn't really understand what I'm going through or what I'm saying, how could they even begin to give advice on a matter that they have no feeling for? And I guess that's a mean way to say it because I like therapists. I think the therapist was cool. He was like a wizard. He had wands all in his thing. He loved Harry Potter. He was a cool guy, but like it just wasn't. It didn't click like Pat said. So then when she
You know why?
was
You
like, I
know, because you
Right
know
one.
it clicked for me because my dude didn't have fucking Harry Potter shit all over the place.
well, and
There's
but I'm just saying, yeah, you're right. Probably, I didn't. If he would have had black metal and goat skulls in his
there you
office,
go.
I'll probably still talk to him. But no, I
See,
mean, I do think it's good. And you talk about religion. I'm not a religious person at all, but I've started reading the book of the John or whatever, and different
Spiritual.
things. It's not bad to think, but I've always lived with those morals in life.
yeah.
Like I remember Marilyn Manson said it when I was a kid on some news thing. He's like, I read both books. I do this, whatever. I just have good morals.
Right.
You live by good morals, and that's all you
Listen,
can
no
do.
one, no one, no one is, suggesting or trying to throw God or a religion at you. It's the point of knowing there's something greater than yourself.
Agree,
Right.
and that's why
And it
I've
doesn't
intrigued by it lately. That's why.
look, dude, it could be this fucking towel right here. As long as you're praying to something greater than yourself, that's it.
Well, and that's
I
what's intrigued me because I want to believe. I have a kid now, and she goes to church every Sunday. My daughter loves God. She, goes and reads the Bible, whatever. I do whatever I got to make sure she is happy and she wants to go to church.
And that
God
makes
bless you,
all the
baby girl. You know what I'm saying? So whatever, but
I
it,
saw a
I
shirt.
want I want us to have that in common, and I want to believe that I'm going to see my papa and my nana and
right.
maybe her mom. Maybe one day, and like it, whatever.
Well, I
Yeah.
saw a shirt today that it reminded me of you, honestly.
Oh God.
Um, it said it, it said only real dads get promoted to papa.
Yeah.
I was like, that's dope. I like that.
That's cute.
Well,
Hey,
oh,
but I mean, even God, right? You say even if no one's telling you, everyone finds their way to God if
Yeah.
they do on their own terms. No one's
Yeah.
ever. I don't think no one should ever push you. However, I don't think it's a bad idea that there's some structure in our life as far as the Bible, and not you don't have to practice a religion per se. There's no denomination that anyone needs, but as long as you, let's say, follow God, I think He sets it out well enough and guides us enough to where it's easy to do, hard to practice, right? But it's easy in idea, but hard to practice. But as long as, even like Patrick says, as long as there is this higher being and we're
I mean,
guided in that way, yeah,
for
we do
me,
have.
I've done enough bad
Yeah,
that the only thing I really want to do now is the next right thing.
right.
I don't want to do the next wrong thing. I've been down that road so many times. And,
Don't lead you.
no, it doesn't lead anywhere. It leads to, it led me, I snorted a boat out of my driveway. I snorted myself almost out of a marriage. I snorted myself out of a truck. Um, yeah, I stole from my wife. I've done a lot of bad things. I've stolen from friends. I was a complete and utter addict, a fucking trash can junkie.
Yeah,
And, I now I advocate for it. I try to bring awareness. And I hate to break it to you, but struggling men are usually the ones that end up alcoholics and addicts because
yeah,
they need to numb themselves. Women
They
have
don't
a
have a place.
women have a huge network. They've got that girl that I'm gonna call my bitch,
right,
and girl, you won't believe what he did to me, and I need to come over. And next thing you know, they're drinking wine and hanging out.
right.
Okay, that's therapy. Us men, we don't fucking go to our buddy's place and be like, man, listen to what this girl did right now. Oh, goodness gracious. Let me have a glass of wine. Da, da, da. We don't fucking do that. We might open up maybe on a boat, hanging out, going fishing. Well, man, dude, I,
Right.
I got problems, da, 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 da. Something like that. Yes, that's therapy. It doesn't, you don't necessarily have to go
It's
and
a
pay
generalization.
$75 an hour. And I'm using these for references, and I hope that it's able to help someone. You don't necessarily got to go pay someone $100 an hour. Find that person that you can actually confide in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
the
oh,
good
person
thing
or
is
fucking,
get it
people.
out.
oh, God bless, getting it out, man, getting it out. Listen, I went to my morning meeting yesterday. Had about 25 men in that meeting, and they said, "Anybody got a topic of discussion?" I was like, "I sure as fuck do." And I went on to, matter of fact, I put it in the chat Thursday that I'm just under a lot of stress right now that I'm not getting on. Remember that?
Yeah,
So Thursday, right before I leave, the owner of my restaurant comes and pulls me and the other management team aside. And he's like, "Listen, I need everybody to kind of step up. I'm cutting all hourly employees in half because of winter season and we're really slow. So yeah, everybody that is on salary gets to work 6 to 7 days weeks now. And that's the way it is. Sorry. Six to
damn.
seven day weeks. Like right now, as I speak, I'm on call.
And that's
Tomorrow,
with less pay, more work.
so it's the same amount of pay, but as soon as you start accruing more hours, yeah, it's
Okay.
less fucking pay.
Yeah.
So guess what? Now I'm extremely pissed because I've got a lot of shit going on. Now I've only got one day to get all my rats done, to get my snakes done, to get anything else my wife deems necessary to put on my freaking honeydew list. Fuck,
You better
man.
make it a short one.
I don't have a honeydew list.
So let me
You
let
are.
me
I
let
am
me
the honey and the doer.
Yeah, yeah. My first reaction was no, no, you're not going to take advantage of me. You're not going to do this. And this, and I thought about this in reference to the last episode
Yeah.
compared to this episode. The last episode, it was all about complaining. I'm fine. I'll be all right. This episode, it's all about manning up.
Yep.
So after my fucking little temper tantrum in my head, and I
Man
said,
up.
do I have another job right now? Do I have money in the bank right now that I can fall back on and get me through the holidays, get me through the most expensive time of the year, and
Yep.
still be okay? No, I don't. I just my transmission just went out in my truck. That was 5 grand. I just dropped another 2 grand with Christmas and all this stuff, and it's not even here yet. Yes,
When it rains, it pours, buddy.
bro.
You're not religious, but I am, and I'll pray for you. Pray for you. My buddy's been going through something a little same, not same, but different, right? They're like, he's a car salesman. He's a used car salesman, and right, everything at this time,
It's not
yeah.
Doug Townsend, is it?
It's what?
Not Doug Townsend, is it?
No, maybe I don't know.
Used
But
car salesman.
yeah, but he's going through the same thing. It's like it's a slow season. Bills are piling up.
Yeah.
Right? He has a kid. He has a girlfriend. She's a lot. He has a mortgage. He has to pay for. That's getting backed up. So then he thinking about how to do this and right. Do I get another job? Do I not? What do I do? Right? So and at the end of the day, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna, for the lack of a better term, man up. He's gonna grind harder and try to do better, to do all this stuff." And I just sit there and this whole man of faith, like for me, that's something new. Like I did not follow God for 30 years. I was away from the church because at 15 I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. I was an atheist for the longest time, pushed away. But so I started praying for him, and I mean, regardless if it is or it is not, it's turning around for him, and now the month of November is starting to actually be good. But yeah, like Ken says, when it rains, it pours, and all we can do is man up. Like, I mean, what other options do we if we don't have that fuck you money? What are we gonna do?
That's exactly what I call it too. Fuck you, money.
You can't do it. We're just gonna sit here. We're gonna do what we need to do, which is okay. So then let's talk about some of these topics, right? The whole idea of being stoic, right? In your situation, in Nick's situation, in Ken's situation, like stoicism is something that even some people that don't even, or some men that don't even realize that they're doing it, but it's not the suppression of emotion, but it's the I like to think of it as the control of emotion, right? We're being stoic for we need to be strong. Like,
Yeah.
how do you guys feel that this fits into a lot of what we've talked about here, even in the last 30 minutes?
Ken, you can take
Well,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, because you deal with a lot. I feel like it hits you a lot with this one, with your daughter and everything. Like having to be stoic.
kind of. I mean, you have to do it. You know what I mean? There's not no one here to really help me with these feelings that I get inside. You know what I mean? Like if like you all have seen me like you all have seen it stack on me to where it's affected me. I mean, I it's been many a times that I've came on alive and then like, look, I'm just not feeling it today. But it's like I'm learning to handle that better, and it's. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's coming from because I've seen it 100 times. Like there's just nothing I could do. That feeling of hopelessness, like, because you can't stop them. You got to just sit there and make sure she don't hurt herself. And it's just like I got to the point to where I'm doing everything that I can do. I'm controlling what I can control,
Have
and
you
that's
tried
all I can
RSO?
do.
What's that?
Have you tried RSO, Ken?
Yes. Yep. We've done RSO treatments. We've even did the one horse medication that they give out. We've even did them.
Ketamine.
The No, it's not the ketamine. It's ivermectin. The
Oh,
ivermectin treatment.
ivermectin.
Yeah, we tried that, and then the only thing that we didn't try is the microdosing on mushrooms. I
Mm.
saved that one for last because I think that's the most. I guess that's the one that could affect her body the most in other ways. So, I mean, we saved that one for last. They're looking into doing the brain surgery, so I mean, I guess that's the route we're heading in through the doctors. We got all the testing done that we needed to get done, but it's still just, it's like I wake up every morning and the first thing that's on my mind is she going to wake up and have a seizure or not? Like, I don't fully wake up and get to it. I see that she's fully wake up and moving.
Yeah,
Hey, so
that's such a hard pill to swallow, buddy.
yeah, that's a
But yeah, I'm learning to handle it a lot better because I'm tired of it breaking me down because there's nothing I could do to change that. And I've let it break me down. I've let it take control of my emotions. Like I've let it run me to the ground. And I'm just tired of it. Like I'm not doing that no more. There's like I said, I just look at it that I'm doing the things I can do to help matters. And that's making sure she don't hurt herself in any way, shape, or form other than what's going on. And I've done that very well. And I think I got to give myself some kind of credit for it
No,
because
you give yourself a lot of credit, buddy.
a lot, a lot.
I used to not. I used to not. Like when this first happened, like I felt so bad about the situation, I wasn't giving myself credit at all. I'm not. I
The
wasn't.
feeling of
I
helplessness.
yeah. Because yeah, it
God
made me
is
help.
not going to put anything in front of anyone's way that they cannot handle. I have
Yeah,
had to tell myself, I mean, I tell myself this every day because, my brain, it doesn't think like a normal person's. My brain thinks like an addict. My brain thinks like a criminal. My brain thinks, some of the worst possible things. So therefore, these are positive reassurances that I need to tell myself. God's not going to put anything in front of me that I can't handle, and it's the bottom line. He's
It's
not going to put anything that in front of me that I can't handle.
also think about this. He gives his strongest warriors the toughest challenges.
yeah. But you said that you think like a criminal. You do this, you do that, and I used to be there too. But you get to a point in life to where you just get past that.
You're
You
right.
get, at least I did. At least I did. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but I got to a point to where when I'm driving down the road and I got a cop on my ass, I'm not sweating because I don't have anything illegal in the car. I don't have anything illegal on me. And it's like there's a whole change that you go through once you hit that. And I've hit that point, and it's a good point to hit. But yeah, my mind used to
I
think
have
like a
to. I
criminal.
have to tell
I,
my brain. I have to tell my brain that there's nothing to worry about.
yeah,
Calm down. There's
yep,
nothing to worry about.
yep. You
Because
start
I mean,
freaking out.
yeah, I've got this little voice in my head that says, "Turn into this parking lot and lose this motherfucker."
For what? For what?
Exactly. But that's the
Yep.
way my brain works.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was that way for a while, like years after. I mean, I've been, clean for 8 years. You know what I mean? So it was probably a good 5, 6 years later, to where I stopped watching my back because, shit, ducking cops because, that's what you're used to. I ducked a cop one time because that's what I was used to. And I said, what the fuck did you do that for?
For
Like
no reason.
you made yourself look guilty. Like, what if you wasn't able to outrun him? Then you got to explain why you ran.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like that
You made me
instance
feel
kind of.
unsafe, officer.
Hey,
I'm sorry,
but
just go through my old mind.
even not being an addict, I even have that brain, right? Like I'm always wondering. I mean, even maybe a lot less now, more in my youth, but if I'm gonna get pulled over, what's gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? Is that gonna happen? But it's for a whole different reason. And I've been pulled over in the past, and they pulled us out at gunpoint and searched the whole car and did that whole thing. But and there's reasons why I thought that way. But it's interesting. I mean, we do even have this dual brain where we're, even though we know we're not doing anything, we're still worried about, right? We're still worried about it for no reason.
Yep, absolutely.
Listen, I had him come and arrest me one time while I was cutting my grass. Um, and that was for a mistake.
What kind of grass are we talking about?
I mean, it was actually my lawn. I mean, they came
I'm just talking.
they came and arrested me
Bacon tomato plants.
first time, and it turned out it was absolute bullshit, and they dropped the charges. But I still went to jail for like, I don't know, 6 or 7 days.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah, made me
I
sign
mean,
a
they
thing.
didn't give you nothing back for that. They can't give you that time back. It was their mistake.
Mm.
Yeah, good times. I mean, I'm really glad that you started doing these. I was uh, I was hell bent on being a part of it. You know,
No, and yeah,
I think
I
it's a great idea.
appreciate it.
I feel, everything that I've gone through my life, every trial, every tribulation, the way that I handled things, the way that I went about things, number one, I can tell you exactly what to do because it'll be the complete opposite of what I did.
Right?
But anybody struggling with addiction, anybody struggling with depression, if you lost a loved one, I feel like my history and my experience through this could be beneficial. Nick, yours can too. That's for sure.
That's why I wanted to do it. I was like, well, if somebody's going to do a show talking about stuff like that, it's been a little over a year. I should be able to talk about it without breaking down and looking like an ass. So let me try it. And I think
Absolutely.
it's good. I mean, if somebody can benefit from, like even my aspect, like I know what it's like to have somebody, like I struggle with my own depression, shit like that, but anxiety and all that type of stuff. But I can manage my own thing, right? Like I can man. I mean, yeah, every once in a while I need somebody to talk to, but I got those people. So like I'm straight. But like as far as anybody else, I know what it's like to have a spouse or somebody like that is just basically losing their mind in their own personality disorder or anxiety or paranoia or depression and you name it. So like it's good to, I guess if somebody needed to talk about something like that, I would, it would be easy to, that's what I said earlier though. It's easy to talk to somebody that has been through something like that, right? Than just some stranger. Well, I guess everybody's a stranger until you meet, but or talk. But you know what I mean, like somebody that doesn't really understand it because they never been through it. You know,
Yeah,
See, Kat said, thank you all for your courage. We don't look at it as courage. We look at it as something we have to do because, as being a man, like a lot of these things, we have to do them. That's just what being a man about. So I don't
unfortunately,
look at it as marriage. I just look at it as something we have to do.
I look at it as a stigma, bro. Unfortunately, it's hard not to, right? Like it's hard not to look at something like my situation as a stigma in my mind because that's the way that you're.
Explain. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, it's something that you don't really want to talk about. It's not something
Oh,
that,
okay.
okay, like for instance, like I'm single, of course. You know what I mean? My mind is
Mm,
mush from everything that's happened, so probably will be single for the rest of my life. And even if I'm not, how am I supposed to explain to somebody how screwed up I am in my head because this happened? How are you supposed to trust again? How are you supposed to? Every little aspect of your life changes when something like that happens. And, like I said, I've learned to deal with it, but it's not something that you want to talk to people about. So it's hard. It's kind of like a stigma in that sense. Like, you're not at a bar having a beer with your friends. Like, yeah, guess what? So and so, you know, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't like that really. And even like, I don't know, a few weeks or a few months after that happened, I'd be out at a bar drinking with a friend, like whatever. That's how I handle my shit. You know what I mean? I might drink me some beer, but that ain't, I don't do nothing else, but I might drink some beer, honestly, whatever. But, but it ain't something like we're sitting in a bar, like you said, Pat. You're not at a knitting circle or, at a, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't like you're sitting around with your friends and it's like straight emotion, because society has made it to where you're supposed to man up, right? I mean, that's the whole premise of what we're talking about. Everything I feel like revolves around that to an extent when you talk about whatever, all the stuff that we're talking about. So it is a
yeah.
big thing.
I don't think sharing your experiences is necessarily negative. I don't think that you talking about what you've gone through. We've all gone through something, so everyone can relate to someone to some degree, even if they haven't maybe not relate, but at least they can empathize with someone to some degree, even if they haven't been through it, right? Because I can only imagine being with someone and some like Pat or that you have gone through. I'm like, yeah, that I couldn't imagine how that would feel, but I can imagine that that's probably one of the toughest things to go through, right? That's not something easy to go through. So if someone's making you feel, I think if someone's making you feel bad or you feel bad about sharing it, maybe yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think you should feel that way. I guess is what I'm.
Well, I don't think no one is, and that's what we were talking about backstage. No one directly, and it's weird, right? Because no one's directly coming up to me like,
Sure.
hey man, man up or don't be a bitch or, quit talking about it. Nobody wants to hear it. It ain't like that. You know what I mean? And if you do open up to people, they'll listen if they're your
Yeah.
friends. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? And so it is what it is, but it's just like an internal thing, man. And that's what sucks about it because it's like you fight with yourself about wanting to even share something like because it's hard right now not to get emotional because it's something that is still kind of really fresh in my life. And it's like you really care about somebody, you have a kid with somebody, you buy rings and then something like that happens and it's like, Jesus Christ, what are you going to do? But I don't know, it's not easy by no means to talk about, but it does help to talk about it.
You think the more you talk about it, the easier it gets.
Oh, it definitely
The
does. Yeah.
the sting kind of goes away. So
Oh
maybe
yeah.
maybe that's the way to the way to not get over, but the way to lessen is to actually get it out.
And it does help, yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do this um, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, or something. No way, no how.
Yeah, yeah,
It does get easier, because you got to go back to work eventually. You got to still drop your kid off at school. I mean, life goes on, right? And even though you might think in your mind, screw this, what's the point? Well, especially when there's a kid involved, that's the freaking point, and like people that just like, and I hate to say it because it sounds mean. It probably is going to sound mean, and I don't want people to think I'm like heartless. but I've lived with a lot of different emotions and a lot of different mental health stuff in my life. And I'm here to tell you, I ain't never took no medicine for it. And I know it's hard, but you just sometimes you just got to deal with it. You know, you do got to man up and you do have to put your priorities in check and try to, even if you have to take medication. I'm not saying that's not a way to go if that's what you need. I'm just saying it can be done. You can learn how to, like you said, self meditate, or just meditate on your own, or count down like they teach you in anger management, or any of these little techniques you learn. It helps, you know what I mean? And you can learn to cope with it, but it does help to talk. That's why you got to have friends, man. If you ain't got no friends, that sucks. If you ain't got no friends and you're watching this, call me. You know what I'm saying? Because that is no way to be, dude. That is no way to be. Everybody's worthwhile. You know,
That's
everybody's.
kind of the premise of this, of me starting this channel as well, is people finding each other, right? Just like you said, you didn't know Patrick's story. Patrick heard about your story. You guys have similar stories. Ken has a story. Someone will relate to what Ken, because Kat then was talking about the children in her class who had seizures, and she was using ball pythons to help them out, so she can. So everyone, that is a premise of this channel in general, is to connect people to other people who they feel like, oh, I feel comfortable reaching out to them, maybe talking to them, and maybe building that group of men, in men in particular, because this is a men's channel, but men in particular, to find someone to go out there and talk to, because we do have the tougher time talking, right? We do have, just like Patrick said, we don't have the groups that generally women have, their group of people who they can go out, or their group of women that they can go out and just release it all, right? And we bottle it up, we internalize it, and we think we could fix it all. But so if you take this, maybe the medicine that you took isn't the traditional medicine, but it's the alcohol, the weed, the all these other things that we do to numb those emotions that help to get through it, possibly, right?
Yeah, and that's not right necessarily, but I mean,
No, but we all do what we need to do to
yeah,
get
what do
through
you?
what
Yeah,
we
you
need to
got it.
get through.
Yeah, and I just want to point out. I know this is a men's channel, but I do want to point out, like Morgan, my ex. Well, I guess she's definitely my ex now, but she struggled with mental health like a son of a bitch. So mental health is not just a gender friendly or a race friendly thing. Like, it does not discriminate. So anybody, regardless of who you are, if you have any kind of, like I said, any kind of negative thoughts or anything, man, you gotta talk about that stuff, man, because you don't know the impact that it's gonna put on your family and your friends, and if you have kids, especially, it's gonna impact their life more than you know. It's gonna be way better if you just stay. You know what I mean? Like, just for everybody, but you have to figure that out and get that help. But it is there.
So
Yeah, for
someone
sure,
sent me
man.
a while ago, and I think it fits this episode, and I want to read it. It's about grief. That grief is not an emotion; it is unraveling of a space where something once lived but is now gone. It craves through the leaving a hollow arch where love once resided. It's the beginning. It feels unbearable, like a wound that will never close, but over time, the raw edges begin to mend. The pain softens, but the imprints remain. A quiet reminder of what's once was. The truth is, you never really move on. You move with it. You love, or the love you have does not disappear. It transforms. It lingers in the echoes of laughter and in the warmth of old memories and in the silent moments where you still reach for what no longer is there. And that's okay. Grief is not a burden to be hidden. It's it's not a weakness that to be ashamed of. It's the deepest proof that love existed. that something beautiful once touched your life. So let yourself feel it. Let yourself mourn. Let yourself remember there is no timeline. There is no right way to grieve. Some days will be heavy and some will feel lighter. Some moments will bring unexpected waves of sadness, while others will fill you with gratitude for the love you were lucky enough to experience. Honor your grief, for it is sacred. It is a testament to the depth of your heart, and then through time, the pain will find healing. Not because you have forgotten, because you have learned how to carry both love and loss together.
Nice.
My brother sent that to me a while ago about grief, like a year ago, and I just remembered it, and I thought it was fitting for what we were talking about.
And you know what's hard about all that, right? What you just said, I agree with all of it. And it's really hard to think about it because if somebody like me, right, to grieve, it's when you have to grieve by yourself, that is hard, right? Like you
It's
can't
hard.
I can't go in there and grieve on my 6-year-old daughter. You know what I mean? Like I could, but I don't because I mean if she every night she says she misses her mama. Every night. And that is the hardest thing in the world. But it's like I can't show any kind of emotion. Dude, that's the hardest thing in the freaking world. So like I have to go and just sit on the couch by myself and grieve watching freaking Roseanne or something, whatever's on Home Improvement or whatever's on TV, just sit there by yourself. And grieving is very hard to do by yourself for sure.
It really is because you're your own worst enemy when in the grieving process, and you get into your own brain, and usually it's toxic. Um, I would, what I did with my son is we both went to grief counseling, and we went together. So he knew how I felt. He knew how helpless I felt that I couldn't help mom because honestly, I really feel that my son resented me because I couldn't help mommy. I couldn't save mommy.
Oh no, man. No way.
So I mean, it's been a battle. So I would definitely recommend both of you get involved together because that's what me and my
Yeah,
son did.
Well, she does counseling at like school and like special counseling, like because there's a few kids in there that lost their parents
Yeah.
in one way or another. So they have this little group thing that I signed her up for and stuff like that. But I don't know. For me it's weird, I don't know. It's
Try it
weird.
out. Try it
Yeah,
out.
I mean,
It might do something.
you're right.
They might give you that one thing you needed. That one thing you needed. That one thing you're missing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like you say, you never know, right? Until you try it.
Well, yeah, and then doing it. I think Pat, are you right? Doing it with your kid is showing your kid that right. You're trying to do something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It shows them proper channels to grieve. It shows them to feel to make it makes them aware that the feelings that they're feeling, the sadness that they're feeling is okay.
Right.
And
That as
that's
well. Hmm.
huge for a kid. I remember my kid, man, he would have to man up and because I was doing a lot of commercial fishing. So at the age of 10 years old, 9 and 10 years old, I had to teach my kid how to prick mommy's finger and take her blood sugar, how to call the 911 dispatcher and tell them my mom is having a diabetic seizure. Her blood sugar right now is this. Her blood pressure is this. 9 years old, 10 years old, I had to coach my son because I was out at sea for 7 to 10 days at a time. So
Man
basically,
up.
That's rough.
when I got back into port and I called my wife's cell phone, and My son would answer it. All right, where's she at? Which hospital? Dad,
Yeah.
I did everything you said. You know, the ambulance came and all right, all right. So, and by then, usually he was with my mother, or we had a couple other reliable people, family members that were able to jump into action. But I mean, I was blessed with people around me, a support team. I was truly blessed.
Hey, so I had a cousin who had whatever the diabetes is. His kidney stopped. He was going through dialysis, but
Mm.
he got his diabetes diagnosis at 12, right? So childhood diabetes. The thing the thing I never understood was him. I mean, he ended up passing away at 26. This was I don't know, probably some like 15 years ago. But and it's all from diabetes. But his idea was I want to be normal just like everyone else, right? And you're like, how do you help them see? You're like, man, just snap out of it. You're as much as you want to be, you're not. Just take care of yourself. And it's one of the things where, yeah, again, you feel helpless because he goes through it. He was going through bouts, going in and out of the hospital with super high sugars, and he was in
Yeah.
a coma for days at a time. The longest he was in a coma was what, like a week and a half or something, and didn't know if he was going to come out any one of the times that he went into the doctors, right? And kidney failure. He was in dialysis. Like it was bad, and he felt bad even towards the end where he was suffering, right? And at that point, it was already too far into the diabetes where I don't even know that they were looking for a kidney transplant at the time because of what he wasn't doing, like taking care of himself. And yeah, that was probably one of that and my grandma's passing were probably, yeah, I don't know which one was tougher seeing them go, one or the other, but that was tough.
Absolutely.
I mean, death to any family member, loved one, spouse. It's always tough. It's tough. It was the absolute toughest thing I've gone through the course of my life, Nick. It's probably the toughest thing that you're going to go through.
Pancreas.
Well, death is inevitable, right?
Yeah.
That's why I stress to people about what I advocate for, and that's not harming yourself because death is inevitable. So, why are you going to end that sooner than it should be? And I think my situation's different because, I put it this way, right? And it might sound weird and morbid to people to hear, but like when people pass, like my grandma, I lost my grandma, my nana, a few months ago, probably 6 months ago now, and it was hard. I did cry about it. She was my grandma. I loved the shit out of her,
Of
but
course.
of course, yeah, but it wasn't the same because she was in dialysis. I mean, everybody you can see, and when you're older and you've lived your life, and like death is inevitable. It's going to come knocking. So you're kind of prepared for it. But like when someone takes their life, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you, and even if people like, because, she said to me before, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get a gun, or I'm going to do this, or I couldn't have any rope in the house. I couldn't have like nothing, bro. I couldn't even have Tylenol because she would try to eat the damn Tylenol, dude.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. So like, when you people out there listening, if you're thinking about something like that, it is the worst thing to ever do. Like, first of all, don't be a coward. That's what I try to like you say, man up. Don't be a fucking coward. Like, God, I hate it. I hate when people do that because I know what that shit feels like, and especially if you have kids, man. I can't say it enough. Don't do that, man. That is the worst thing.
Selfish act, right?
It is so selfish, right? And then you try not to get mad, and you're like, well, I don't want to get mad. I'm like, I have a picture of her and my kid in the living room, a nice little picture, you know. Her stuff's everywhere. I kept a lot of her stuff that I wanted, you know. And anyway, I mean, you know, sometimes I'll be sitting there at night and I'm looking at that picture like, why in the hell? I'm like cussing. I'm like, you know, like, God, how dare you, you know? But then it's like, I don't know, man. It's just weird. That I don't know. I don't know people's mindsets in that situation, so it's hard for me to relate. But
Yeah,
somebody out there will know how to relate. You know what I mean? You just have to find that person, and that you have to talk about it, right? I mean, you have to, man.
yep.
Right.
And see,
Like,
go for it.
good, Jose.
No, no, go for it. I'll
Okay.
say it.
So, like, Nick, when you said that, like, there's a difference from when, like, your grandmother died to, like, when your ex died, like, my dad, when he died, we all knew it was coming. We knew it was going to be sooner or later, just not that day. We didn't expect it. But,
Yeah,
like, with my sister, she always struggled with, addiction and depression and, amongst everything. But she died as an accidental overdose of the medications that she was prescribed by the doctors. I mean, so that pill, I don't, I know I still haven't grieved my sister's death, and that was 2 years ago. Like I can't even really, I don't even have my hands around it. She's gone.
it's
You
weird,
know what I mean?
right? It's a weird feeling, right?
And then my mom, like, she died the 27th. My mom had her viewing the 29th. It's just like everything happened so quick with that. I don't even think I processed it yet, and it's 2 years later.
For sure.
Like, so it is definitely a difference from when, like, you have an elderly person in your family and you're waiting on them to die. You know it's coming, from when, like, a 40 to 50-year-old person in your family that's not really expected to die, that just isn't there one day. I mean, and it happened 2 days after Christmas in 2023. Like, you know what I mean? So this time of year is always kind of bittersweet to us because it was just like, she's not here. She's not going to be here. And it's, like I said, I still don't think I fully processed it because of how fast it happened. Will I ever? I mean, I hope I do. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I guess what I was going to add to the story of my cousin was there was zero accountability in his diagnosis. A lot of his stuff was this whole man up kind of relates to him as well because of the accountability, right? The whole victim mentality of why me instead of what am I going to do about this, right? And he was in that mentality the whole time, and he never. I mean, it could be partly attributed even to his parents not stepping up and showing him proper guidance on a lot of this stuff. But it was like, man, I just get out of that and just do what you have to do. It's already here. You can't change it. Just deal with it now. And he was
Right?
never able to get there. That was the point. Anyways, stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff.
tough.
Very, very tough.
Well, I'm really glad that Nick and Ken came on here.
I am glad I did. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed
Appreciate
it
that.
seemed to work. It seemed to work awfully perfect, didn't it?
I actually I messaged
No,
Jose, and I was like, I want to come on the show. I think I'm ready to talk about what's happened
Right.
in my life, and I think it might help somebody. I mean, it might not, but if it, it could maybe. You know what I mean? If somebody has an old or a spouse that is kind of losing their mind, or that has schizophrenia or BPD, or these kind of things that really makes it hard to be with that person to begin
Yep.
with. And then, any kind of negative thoughts, I mean, hopefully I can help, like, I mean, I'm not a no, I'm a nobody essentially, but I've been there. I just want people to know that you're really not alone. It's not it's not just you. So, reach out to somebody if you need to.
Absolutely.
I can attest he did. Ken reached out as well, but I mean Ken and Nick both reached out, and then when I was talking to Patrick about it, he's like, yeah, let's. I need to essentially saying I need to be on that show. I'm like, yeah, let's. I mean, the show just created itself. It's kind of interesting how this panel got set up. It wasn't yeah, and it seemed to work quite nice. I appreciate you guys jumping on. This is said it's not easy to talk about, but needs to be talked about, right? And
Hmm.
like Nick
Absolutely.
says, even it's gonna help someone. Someone will see this, someone will relate, and someone will be able to either reach out or even if they don't reach out, I'm hoping that it does help them in at least their train of thought, whether they go get help, whether they however they do it.
At least plant that seed
Right.
that it's possible, like you don't have to be depressed. You can be depressed. It's natural to be depressed. You're never going to not ever have depression, but you can learn how to manage it. You can learn the groups, whether it's a religious group, whether it's a grieving group, whether it's a atheist, whatever the damn group is that helps you figure out what you want to figure out in life. That's who you need to stick with, and that's who you need to talk to with anything that's bothering you. I mean, just like the RWO, yeah, I go to certain people for certain problems, but it's because I know these friends can relate to that problem more than others, right? So it's not anything against everybody, but we all have each other whenever and however we need that, and it's good to have people like that in your life, because that is the biggest skill you can have, is to talk, man. I'm telling you, like, I didn't. Even tonight, before I did it, I was hesitant on even coming on here. I was going to make up a bullcrap excuse and be like,
Ah,
I can't do it because I was, it's weird. It is a
yeah,
weird thing, and
So
it
since
is.
last week, I have had someone reach out to me. I'm not going to
good,
say any names or whatever, but
good.
That's
I
awesome.
will say, I'll say this: when you put yourself out there, okay, you kind of put yourself maybe in a service kind of way. Somebody wants to talk to you. Somebody actually feels comfortable enough saying, "Hey, what do you think?" When you put yourself in a position to be of service to another person, you would be surprised what you do for yourself in that process.
Agreed, 100%. I agree.
Yeah, and that's a yeah, that's a beautiful thing to hear. That's the whole point of this show. Yeah,
Yeah.
anyone needs to reach out to anyone. I'm here. I know they're here. There's always someone here to reach out to. And even if I don't have the answers, I can at least point you to someone that may have the answer. And if they don't have the answer, they can point you somewhere. Like we can use this as a network, right? It's
Right.
Yeah. Just keep in mind, I am no therapist. The only thing I can
right.
do is give you suggestions, what's worked for me in the past through my series of events. If you can, somehow correlate with what's happened to me, and you can grasp anything, what any of us say. Like I said, my point is we're not therapists.
Right. Good
I'm
point.
just as fucked up, if not more fucked up, than all three of y'all.
Agreed. Agreed.
Hey, sometimes that fucked up person might have the solution and the therapist don't.
You were absolutely right, because they're the ones that are fucked up, not the
Right.
therapist.
Yeah,
but
But
I
we live
do.
that life. We have fucked up answers for fucked up situations.
I
Mhm.
do think as men, honestly, man to man, like if a man comes up to you with a problem, I hate to say it, it's hard not to be that. I guess that stoic figure that's like, oh man, come on, man, like it could always be worse, or like listen to them and really take in what they're saying. Don't just try to be my man up. Don't try to, because if you say that to somebody, if there's a thing that Theo Vaughn or whatever that guy's name is that did online that time, it's like this big meme where someone, and I think we talked about this before, where someone asks you how are you, or if someone just needs to talk, sometimes not saying anything is the biggest help you can be to somebody, and just genuinely listening to what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Oh
and
yeah.
and afterwards, don't offer any advice. Don't
Yep.
say that this has happened in my life. Don't try to compare, because as much as you want to do that, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I still do it because it's hard not to, right? Because you're a man, and it's you're in that man setting, like brush it off, bitch,
Yeah.
like
You're
whatever.
trying to find solutions. That's what we
Exactly.
do.
Yeah, but like it is good to listen. And if anyone ever says anything about self harm or anything like that, take that crap seriously, y'all. I mean, don't brush it off. Really take it seriously, because there's and that's something that I really really regret is when the cops did come to the house a couple times where she was trying to burn the house down and hurt herself or everybody in the house or whatever the situation was, where I'm gathering up rope, and the cops knock on the door. I should have told them. I should have said
Right.
something. And don't ever think that if you say this, that they're not going to love you anymore, or they're not going to talk to you, because they probably won't. And they probably won't fucking talk to you no more. And they probably won't love you anymore. But they might be alive. You know what I mean?
They
They
might be
might be
here.
able to stay alive and be able to come out on the other side. Maybe that's a sacrifice you have to make, because maybe that's a sacrifice I should have made. I was selfish. Her telling me, I won't never talk to you again. I'll leave you and the kid, and never I'll run away, and y'all change my name and blah blah blah. I should have said, well, do that, but you're going to get help now. I'm going to do what I can right now to help you. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying call the cops on your friend because they're talking about it. I'm just saying be there for them in that situation more than,
But maybe it is though.
yeah,
Maybe that's what they need.
exactly.
And
And every situation's different.
yes,
You're right. Yeah.
right, right. But even to your point, even if they're telling you that, they're telling you that in the state that they're in, not that that's really how it's going to be. They
Yeah.
want you to keep enabling what they're doing. So even if you think that that's true, more likely than not, they'll come around and see that all you did was try to help them. This is at least my positive thinking, right? Is that they'll come around thinking, knowing that you helped them, and they will be grateful in the end, and they won't actually leave.
Yeah, well, it could be, you could,
Right,
anything's possible, right? And
right.
I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm saying most likely that could, you have to go in with that
That
mindset.
is an outcome.
Yeah, that there's an outcome, and it could be a 50-50 chance that it's either a catch 22 where they got help, but they hate you for, forever, or it could be that they got help and they love you, but regardless, they're going to live a little bit longer to get that option that they wouldn't have took upon themselves. I can't tell you how many times I drove her mom to the hospital and went inside with her, and I'm over here filling out paperwork, and she'll run out the door and don't do it. And she's old enough to make that decision, so you can't force somebody to do it. But and I'm not even talking about institutionalizing nobody or nothing. I don't want nobody to get the wrong impression. All I'm saying is be that ear and try to listen and not be judgmental, because as soon as you judge that person, they're going to shut you off, and if they shut you off, that's one less person that they feel like they can talk to, because they tried to talk to you, and you basically man up. It'll be whatever, man up, but to some people
It's
manning
yeah,
up is leaving this world,
yeah.
and you don't want that for them or your family or nothing, so
It's
just listen.
definitely a thin line. I agree. You have to with each situation. You have to
Hmm.
see how that rolls for sure. for sure.
My rant's over. Sorry. I
Ah,
just
no,
want it to be
Ah,
it's all
known.
good.
right.
Hell yeah. Well,
On that note, let's go with we'll wrap it up. We're about an hour and a half. I get some closing remarks from everyone, and then we'll get this going. You know, whatever you feel needs to get out there. We'll go with Patrick since he's at the top right, my right.
Be kind to someone.
Simple,
Yeah.
easy, nice.
hey, he don't say a lot, but when he does, you know what I'm saying?
Go for it, Ken.
Um, just reach out. There's people out there willing to listen. I mean, we're here. I guess we're all up here basically saying that, hey, this has been in our life and this is what we went through. Like, if you have a similar situation and need help with something, like, reach out. Like Pat said earlier, we're putting ourselves out there and basically tagging ourselves as, hey, we're here. But for real, we're here. Like, this community um, has really went above and beyond where I thought it would be in the beginning with people who were struggling. If you don't reach out, the paths are there. We're all here for you. So don't hesitate. We're here. Don't be a dick.
Can I piggyback off of that?
Of course you can.
I just anybody out there needs to understand that don't feel alarmed or threatened or some type of way thinking that just because you reach out to, let's say, one of us, that we're going to put you on this fucking show. We're putting
Correct.
ourselves out there because we choose to.
Yeah,
Where are you going?
Yeah, like I said, I reached out to him and asked him if I could be on the show. Like I'm not.
I give
yeah. I
it
hit
give
him
it
up. Hey, I'd love the idea of it.
Well, I mean,
give it
I just want to thank you for letting me come on. Letting me be able to share some kind of help, maybe, or my story. Really, I appreciated it. It is hard, but you got to say it sometimes and
yeah.
let it be known. And I think we all can do better. So just try to be positive. And if you're mad about something somebody's doing, maybe just try to think. I don't know them. I don't know what they're going through. If you think that it's reach outable, reach out. You know what I'm saying? Reach out to them and make that first move because it might change somebody's life.
Absolutely.
Indeed. No. So I mean, I'm gonna say first and foremost, thank you guys for jumping on. Um, this is
Doing it.
this is exactly the show that the show the channel that I want to start is where we can comfortably share stuff that is heavy on us, right? That we want to be able to have a network and build a network of people that can do that. And Reptile Hutch, he says, right, start a Discord channel, and I'm gonna take him
Yeah.
up on that because I'm gonna start a Discord channel for the Unchained Man, and but yeah, just to start a community that where we can all help each other. Like there's people that I can't help, Pat can help, that Nick can help, that Ken can help, that anyone can help out in their respective how they think, how someone connects with that person, right? Because just like Patrick said, like he connected with that therapist. He's been with that therapist for a while, right? So find that person you connect with, or people you connect with, right? With the I'm hoping let's see how this Discord goes, but I'm hoping that we can get a lot of people connected and finding just kind of a nice community of men that can. And I know this affects everyone, right? It's not men specific, but I wanted to make this men specific because we don't have
An outlet.
yeah, an outlet. We don't have that community as men to do that, where we feel comfortable enough to do that. That's why I started this. So I'm gonna share a. There's a passage on this on in the Bible. I know you guys are not religious, but I am. But I'm gonna. It's Joshua chapter 1, verse 6 through 9, and it says right on this, be a man. It says in the Bible over and over again to be strong and be courageous, and that's who we are as men, right? Everything else falls to the wayside, but with this we can add on to, now you have a place where you can at least get things off your chest. At least you can talk to someone who's been through something similar. So with that, I do put it out there to everyone. You guys need someone to talk to. You reach out to any of us, to or reach out just to anyone you feel comfortable that you need support. We got you. Said I'll have the Discord and I'll put it up on my Instagram for everyone to jump on, and Let's build something fantastic, something that would help the wider audience, right? The thing with YouTube is the amount of people that we can touch with a simple video is way more than we could do in a physical room. Right?
Oh,
Patrick does his thing, and he does what, 50 people you said he had in there? 50 men?
yeah, it's and we do it every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and it's between 25 and sometimes 50 men. And I
And
mean,
where are you located? If people wanted to go in
North
person, where are you
Florida,
located?
North
North
Florida,
Florida.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if anyone's even there, reach out to him. Maybe you can go if you live close by, jump out there. Um, but with that being said, I have the next episode. It's gonna be a doozy. I'll put it up. There'll be some different people, but let's see what we can do. Let's build. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys' story. Um, I love you guys, and I guess with that, we're gonna call it. You guys have a good night. We're out. Hold on, 1 second. Let's do this. Guys, one
It's
second. Welcome. This is the Unchained Man, where we rip off the mask, break the chains, and face the fire. No fluff,